But so, we've dealt with one part
Yes.
of the constraint, but certainly not in terms of the cost side.
Yes, that is very true. The alleviation of the cost side was done through the negotiation of the pricing, the agreements that are in place with Eskom. It hasn't taken away the problem, but it has brought some certainty and it has alleviated the risk of spiraling costs. So it is still a challenge on the input side, but at least there is some alleviation of that risk and problem.
Okay, so thank you for that clarification. So would you then say currently one of the key constraints is then simply that China has monopolized that ferrochrome market, and it may actually be quite difficult for us to get that market share back?
It will be difficult, I think, because if you compare the ferrochrome industry in China and you look at the cost structure there is very low. And we have lost that competitive edge, as you correctly pointed it out. Until about 10 years or so ago, we still were leading on the ferrochrome side, but we have lost that position to China. It is an anomaly because a country that has 74% of the resources is being led by a country that has no notable chrome ore resources. It's problematic.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, just to put some numbers to this. So last year, South Africa exported almost 18 million tons of chrome ore and concentrate. And that was by far an all-time high. And the numbers tracking for this year, we now have some issues at the border, of course, but up till now, we were tracking even faster export growth than what we had last year. And it's all a China story, as you rightly say. Okay, thank you very much. Let me then go to Juby, please. I think, would you perhaps take us through, perhaps not all of the audience would be that au fait with Phosphor and exactly what you do, first of all, and then perhaps secondly, where do you see, given that this is an investment conference, where do you see the investment potential for your company, specifically in South Africa?
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning to everyone that's here today. Phosphor is the precious child that South Africa doesn't know much about, but it is the only vertically integrated producer of phosphate rock, phosphoric acid, and granular fertilizer in South Africa. And that may sound complicated, but what it simply means is we own the reserve, the phosphate mine in this very province, in the town of Phalaborwa, and then the whole value chain up until we actually produce granular fertilizer in Richards Bay. Our life of mine, Hugo, I know Mintech is celebrating 90 years, but Phosco has proven reserves of 90 years from now on, and probable 300. So it's going to outlive all of us unless anyone in this room is planning to live to 300. Our strategic advantage is the quality of the rock that we actually have. We have one of the best in the world, not in South Africa, but the world. And why that is because we have high phosphate content, 36% in our ore. And also we have very low cadmium, which is carcinogenic, so below 0%. And that then makes it very attractive for food grade use as well. We've been talking a lot about beneficiation, and I guess that's what this is all about. What we also do, and I mean, my colleague here has also spoken about the export of chrome. We do also export the product that we mine in Phalaborwa, but it's a small percentage. The rest of it we rail to Richards Bay. And one of the reasons why we do export is the logistical challenge, because our mine, the distance between our mine and our plant is about 850 kilometers. And the only mode of transport that makes sense commercially and efficiently is actually logistics, because we don't have the luxury of a pipeline where we could actually slurry our product, because then we could ramp up production. So we are a B2B, so you wouldn't find our product in the commercial stores, but if you have a look at your fertilizers, for example, NPK, that sort of blend, the P would be Fosco. So that's just a bit about Fosco and who we are. An opportunity for growth. I know the MC or program director yesterday said he doesn't like the word potential, if I have it correctly. Fosco actually has a lot of potential for growth and investment. Maybe to answer your question more directly, if you have a look at a Coca-Cola can, the third ingredient in that is phosphoric acid, but that's purified phosphoric acid. We don't produce that in South Africa. But if you go to Japan, if ever you're in Japan, please buy Coca-Cola, because the phosphoric acid that's in that Coke is actually from South Africa, from Palabora, from Limpopo. But how many people actually drink Coca-Cola in South Africa? We can produce that here because we have a food-grade product that can actually can be beneficiated. So Fosco is currently looking at that to create a new revenue stream as well. The other aspect which we're very excited about, and I can speak about it now publicly, it's been an 11-year journey for Fosco. We have our license for rare earths, because that is also in our ore. So we are actually very excited about that project, because we have an opportunity to actually extract rare earths from our gypsum that is produced as a byproduct in our process. And that has also come up in conversation today. So I think that's what I'll share with you for now. Thanks, Hugo.
Thank you very much. Perhaps I forgot to mention, after the chrome example, many of you would know it is exactly the same situation in manganese, for example. We used to produce quite a bit of ferromanganese, in other words, the beneficiated product of manganese, and that has gone a similar downward trend as we see in chrome, and very much for the same reason. So the constraints actually permeate throughout some of these sectors. So I thought what we could do is, we've now had a first round of questions from my side. We are doing quite well on time, although I thought to perhaps give you back some time. But I thought before I go through a second round of questions, are there at this stage any burning issues from the audience to our panelists? Just perhaps one or two burning questions. And you just please help me. I have very impaired sight, so I may not see your hand if it's right at the back. Is there two? Okay. Do we have a roving mic? And I think you can just kick off once you have a mic, please. And just please say to who the question is addressed. If you have a loud voice, you can go for it.
Can't hear you.
Sorry, can you speak up a little bit, please? Or, you know what? Can we... Sorry, can we...
Oscar, my surname is Mola. I was here. The MC was how we can speak about your own voice, because we got a loud voice. Hallelujah. It doesn't meet a mic, but I will use the mic in case of recording. My question is that I heard about the money beneficiation regarding the commodities that we have. But we got this thing that they touch up with illegal money, which one thing that we have been issued is that department it does take long to give they are hungry, and then the moment you waited and then you try to go in there to the DMR, and then you see the land here, they need to put, you got a land that has got a potential of the commodities there. And then the DMR, they keeping putting back and forth. you end up doing something that you don't have the papers because you're waiting the regulator to give you the papers. This thing of illegal mining, we can end up it when the government can collaborate with the entrepreneurs, collaborate with the communities. It's easy to close this thing of illegal miners. And also, in case of a financial also, we need partnership. We need collaborative partnership, both private and the public sectors. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we perhaps take another one or two questions?
Good morning. My name is Deacon Mate. Limpopo for me is a home. It's my home. I come from the funding environment. I do work for the United Nations Alliance for Sustainable Development, and obviously, by way of responsibility, where I come from, I talk about Africa every day, and I talk about my country desperately with love. And I'm very concerned this morning to hear some of the reports we're getting from the DMR and some of my colleagues sitting up there. South Africa has been on a trend of deindustrialization since 1994. And we're not getting any better. And I think this should be very clear. And I do hear the language between the private sector and our colleagues from the public sector speaking two different languages. There's no correlation in the strategy and policy framework going forward for the purpose of transforming this country. Highland Steel was closed down. There are many others who have shut down as well. Now, so there must be something wrong in the system. And in where I come from, we sit and talk about the ease of making business successful in South Africa for private sector and investors. People are saying it's impossible to do any business in South Africa. So no one wants to come to South Africa. That is the first point. The second point is that we have a Reserve Bank which is not collaborative with the economy in general and the government at large. The Reserve Bank, which does not allow any money to come in for any projects, development or funding of projects. We have a big problem with that. And yourself sitting there as diplomats of the government, we just want to encourage you that you need to go back and talk to government at large. Let's start dealing with these problems. This gentleman behind me spoke about the Zamazamas, and you can see how desperate he is. He's leading a detachment of many people who are desperate like him. And these are our families. These are not foreigners. These are our people. They come from our villages. They come from our homes. But it does seem like our government is not serious. It's 30 years down the line. This industrialization I'm talking about, in 1994, we moved from 21% to 12% in 2021. So it's very clear that there's a...
Sorry, you mean in terms of manufacturing's contribution to GDP?
That is correct, yes. Sorry, I did not elaborate well on that. But also now we have a situation with logistics of this country. There's no alignment between Transnet, there's no alignment between Sanral, there's no alignment between the ports companies, because there is no intent from the stakeholders who are involved in these specific industries. So our proposal is that we should, as quick as possible, try and bring the ports authorities, Transnet, and the Sanral and all other logistic-related contributors to the economy to come together and discuss the strategy on transforming the logistic industry. Right now, Beira becomes very attractive. Namibia is becoming very attractive. Botswana is becoming very attractive. No one wants to do anything with South Africa. Lobito is growing up very fast. Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana are building a railway line which massively is going to take all this potential business out of our hands as a country. So my encouragement is that we've heard your stories, gentlemen and ladies, for 30 years. Something has to change. If this change does not come, we're going to have very serious problems. Secondly, we have...
Sorry, Kikera, I'm very sorry to cut you off, but I want to give other people also an opportunity. I think we've heard your concerns.
Just my last point. My last point is prohibition in SMMEs making business in South Africa. There is a major problem. SMMEs, women, youth businesses are not able to do any business in South Africa. And different government departments are failing to come up with policies which makes the entry into the market much more easier and accessible. And these policies have been discussed over a period of time. But we can't be transforming policy and changing policy which is not in favor of development of the country. SMEs are the ones which are key to development of the economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's take one more.
Okay, thank you. The name is Mchuchu Ngumalo. I'm a business person in another cap for 26 years, and I've been on the industrial side. What I pick up, you see, we have had in the country this industrialization that he's talking about. It's a serious concern because ESCOM pricing on the bigger industries, the furnaces, it's a problem. You know, there was a rhetoric of saying the alu SAF, for instance, was getting, you know, less prices from ESCOM for years without realizing how much of a multiplier effect and an employer it was. More than 5,000 people lost jobs. Now the same applies to all these furnaces that are closed, where you are unable to beneficiate because of ESCOM. If there is something, you know, and Premier, you can actually influence the national policy by actually changing the trajectory for Limpopo, where you say, can we have licenses to either IPPs use the very coal that we have to have plans that are going to give a stable supply to the industries in the chrome sector and manganese, where it can happen, but it's a decisive action that needs to come from a political level to the industry players, to who an investor is very easy to come to the country. I've been fortunate to move around the world, where I've won even small industries award here in the country, to Japan. But one thing that you see, when you see a computer, when they fund the production of that computer for 8 to 10 years until it comes to fruition. Same applies to South Korea. You don't see these Hyundai cars and Kias. They were private initiatives that were funded because the state was decisive to actually fund an entrepreneur to go through the process of R&D to development of the product. So there must be some ways of coming together on the political leadership, the business sector side, who are industrialists. I have closed a factory in Benoni where I had 108 people losing jobs because people didn't see the industrialization element, because they are gatekeepers. And gatekeepers where you find our own brothers and sisters. Block, they don't support black businesses. What he's saying, it's real. When you go to the mining environment, they close shop. We have not started getting into business as Africans. We are just scratching the surface. Even those that are actually quite senior, they are not in it where they understand the bolts and nuts of the business. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done from the political side, and even these agencies like Mintech. Mintech, you open up these opportunities, but when somebody comes with a solution, you block it, and there are people eating. I had a solution to clean the acid mine drainage. A solution that was better than what you have in the head office there. But lo and behold, they are gatekeepers. And you know, politically, Premier, if you can actually fight the gatekeeping, where you say, officials, I'm not going to take nonsense. We open up and put the right people in these boards of agencies. Because when you put non-technical people, a teacher who is going to offer nothing, and then you know you will not get anywhere, I guarantee you. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think we have 3 themes here. We have illegal mining, we have deindustrialization, and we have, broadly speaking, gatekeeping. So, Kagiso, I know this is not really your area, but would you want to tackle the illegal mining, or rather not?
Hello.
I think the area around illegal mining, there is a joint committee, as Deputy Minister earlier mentioned, where the police, TMRE, and various law enforcement agencies are involved in stopping these activities. There has been some work, especially in terms of the Crown Belt, where the illegal mining has been clamped down, especially in the Limpopo area. Yeah, I think that's the extent of it in terms of illegal mining. There's also the enforcement element of it, which looks at the ports in terms of the declarations with regards to SARS, as to what the people declaring with regards to exports. Is it what is, if they declare that the mineral is chrome, is it chrome now, or is it chrome plus other things? So there's that element in terms of the enforcement. I think the other element, the last gentleman that spoke, I think that's where we've been looking at. We've been analyzing the way we've been funding our DFIs. The gentleman spoke about how you industrialize. You need patient capital. I think that's what he was alluding to. And it's something that we've raised sharply with the DTIC, with also National Treasury, because when you look at how IDC is funded, for example, when they funded Fourscore in the past, they had patient capital that allowed Fourscore to learn how to make fertilizer, starting from coal commissioning all the way up until now. They are one of the best phosphate manufacturers. We don't have that anymore. IDC has to go raise funding in the markets. And as a result, they need to also now show returns in terms of their capital. And that's why we do not have that space at the moment, but it's something that we are discussing, we are seized with National Treasury on. And then in terms of the electricity costs, there is a review of the electricity pricing policy process ongoing. We are trying to influence that process to make sure that electricity is availed very cheaply, especially to energy-intensive users like the furnaces. But we are, again, there limited by issues around funding. You know, I think that's...
Thank you. I think the deindustrialization we have sort of touched on in some of our comments. Is there any of the panelists that want to say anything more about that?
Yes, I think the implications of deindustrializations are massive, because it's not only in terms of jobs, SLP contributions, it also in terms of, if you look at the amount of funds that are are paid to Eskom by the ferrochrome industry, it's significant. We're talking in the region of 20 billion thereabouts. So the deindustrialization has a huge impact and a multiplier effect on the other associated industries. So it is our plea that deindustrialization has to be stopped and it has to be reversed. Because if we do not intervene timeously with the largest chrome ore resources, has no ferrochrome industry that is notable. And those that do not have chrome ore resources are leading us in the ferrochrome industry.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Hugo, if I may jump in there. Sorry.
Sure.
Just one last point. 2021, we did some work that went to cabinet in terms of stemming the flow of chrome ore out of the country. We are exploring the use of export taxes. It has gone to cabinet. I think the next level that we need to look at is to start now engaging with China themselves, because when you look at how ferrochrome is priced vis-a-vis the chrome ore,
Correct.
you can clearly see that the ferrochrome smelters are just being used as a cost center to support the stainless steel sector. So what we have started to do is started to engage with the Chinese to see that they need now to start playing their part in terms of the partnerships that we have with them, for them to start now relocating some of that capacity, or not rather relocating some of the capacity, but utilizing the capacity that is available in the country to beneficiate our ores closer to source.
Thank you. We are rapidly running out of time. I just want to sneak one more question into Jones, because I think we need to touch on this also. And so we've spoken about the problems. But Jones, Mintech does a lot of work in other countries of the world. So can you perhaps just paint a picture for us, those countries that have been successful in terms of beneficiation, what measures and policies have they put in place? If you could, please.
Thank you, Hugo. I think what we've seen, the trend, emerging trend these days, is most of the countries that we deal with, especially in Africa, they've started being very aggressive in making sure that the bulk of the ores that are mined in their countries, at least a portion of it, is beneficiated in country.